the greatest the kind of skill that's lacking is that conversation
Mm-hmm.
and the ability to disagree with somebody while respecting their opinion and
Oh, yeah.
still treating them as the same. Okay, fine. I don't agree with you, but that's okay. We can agree to disagree. It doesn't mean, disrespect me or I disrespect you. We just agree to disagree and move on together.
Move on and work on
And I
something
can
else.
hear
Yeah.
you out. I hear out. Maybe I'll learn from something. I'm not here to convince you, but maybe you're going to teach me something I didn't know I consider next time.
Mm-hmm.
That, especially for our children, can be very, very tough. And, if the adults don't know how to do that, then they're not taught how to do that. And so teaching with that too, and then everybody's just so quick to judge. Everything is it's hard. It's hard because
Mm-hmm.
it's instant right now. And
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Dr. Robert Langman. He is the superintendent at Darien School District 61, which is in Darien, Illinois, he
yes.
let me know there's a Darien, Connecticut, but this is Darien, Illinois, which is kind of a suburb of Chicago. So, Robert, nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure.
Tell us, Robert, about a little bit about your journey and a little bit about Darien.
Okay, about my journey. All right, well, this is I don't know if it's like 20, 25, 26 years now in education. I started off as an elementary school teacher, taught fourth and fifth grade. That was in a school district called Glen Ellen District 89 in Illinois here. Then from there, I became assistant principal for 2 years at an elementary school. And then I was principal in Addison, Illinois at Wesley Elementary School for 9 years. And at the same time there, my last 3 years, I was also the director of instructional technology for the district. So I held 2 roles there, uh,
Wow.
which was busy,
Yeah, that's
but
busy. Yeah.
yeah, but it gave me good experience too. Then after that, I was actually blessed to go back to the district I taught in '89 for 4 years as assistant superintendent for curriculum instruction. And then I've been blessed to be here since this is my 6th year now in Darien as superintendent. Started right in the fun of COVID,
Oh,
which
yeah. Oh,
great, but I'm still here and lucky to be in this position and work with this great community.
awesome. So tell us a little bit about Darien.
Yeah, Darien is a great. It really is. It's a nice area. Actually, their slogan is "It's a nice place to live." It really is.
Nice.
But our district is a small district. We're approximately about 1,300 students, preschool through 8th grade. We have 3 schools, Mark DeLay School, which is a preschool through 2nd grade school. We have Lace Elementary School, which is 3 through 5. And then we have Eisenhower Junior High, which is grades 6 through 8. And it's we serve portions of Darien, of a town, Downers Grove, Willowbrook, Westmont. So we serve a number of, towns in our area too.
So where do they go for high school then? When they
So for
leave
high
you, where
school,
do they
then
go?
actually we're split. So about half of our students go to Hinsdale School District, Hinsdale 86. They go to Hinsdale South High School, and then the other
Mhm.
half of our students they go to Downers Grove South High School. So 2
Wow.
different high school districts. Yeah, it's Illinois is kind of goofy. We have a lot of districts, and so we have 2 high school districts, Hinsdale and Downers Grove, and because of that, half of our students go to each.
Interesting. Is that do they have a choice? I mean, can they
No,
they
they don't
don't
have a
know?
choice. No, they don't have a choice. It depends on, where they live.
Hmm.
That's basically all what it is. And so one person across the street can go to Hinsdale, across the street go to that.
Wow. Yeah.
It's pretty interesting how sometimes that can work out.
Yeah. Yeah. We lived in Michigan when our kids were going to school, and we had school of choice, which was kind of a nice thing. Illinois doesn't have school of choice at all, huh?
No, we do
No,
not. No,
interesting.
not at all. There's no
Interesting.
school choice. There used to be back in the day with NCLB when it was, first going through, but that was only within your district that you can do. So schools in the district, depending on how they performed. So when I was principal in Addison, there were, I think, 5 or 6 elementary schools, and then my school was a school choice school. So if you chose to go there, then students from within the districts, they got to apply and then they got to, go over too. So like one year we had a increase of like 60 students in a year because of that too. But it was, but
Hmm.
that's the only level of school choice there's been. But since NCLB has been kind of, out for a while, that hasn't been the case anymore.
And what does NCLB
Oh,
stand
sorry.
for? No, it's all
Uh,
right.
the No Child Left Behind.
Oh, okay,
It
gotcha.
was basically just the name they gave with the renew of the Elementary and Secondary School, Education Act, ESSEA. They just
Mhm.
keep renewing it. So that was back in, the early, 2000s, kinda the race to the top.
Okay.
When President Barack Obama was there, they kinda changed it to that, and they offered some things, transition, and then they changed it again, so it's
Ugh, yeah,
all those different
yeah.
revisions of the same act. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it just you just go, "Oh gosh." Every administration has their own pet projects and
Yeah,
yeah.
and exactly.
And education gets just plopped in the middle of it, plopped in the middle. And that's part of the reason why Brighter Together is here because it's, all I ever hear is the negative, and there's so many great things. With that transition, tell us about the amazing things that are happening at Darien. You guys have some good wins.
We really do. There's a lot of good wins to say. I mean, honestly, the first is, like I said, I'm very blessed because I really do. I have amazing staff, families, and students, and a supportive community that I get to work with and support. We're not our district. We have very limited resource. We have limited resources. We're in good, decent financial shape, but in Illinois, all of our resources come from a majority, should I say, 80% or more come from from our local taxes. From our
Yep.
real estate
Mhm.
taxes. So we have to be very mindful and responsible with how we spend our money. And so we've been doing, well, we don't have too much. We do quite a bit with that. And it's very, we're very proud of that. Our staff were actually recently, what I'm very proud of too, is that recovery from the pandemic. We really had a good recovery from that. We still have room to grow. Don't kid yourself.
Mhm.
We had a
Mhm.
very good recovery. There's a couple different recoveries you look at. They say there's like a U-shaped recovery where if you start, we're before the pandemic of 2019, and everybody dipped down,
Mhm.
and then slowly you can kind of come up and just, kind of a slow curve like that. Or they have the V shape where you dipped and you come straight back up.
Yeah.
And then you have a negative, which you don't wanna see either.
Yeah.
So, I'm very proud that we actually had, like, kind of a V for both math and, ELA, and we're now performing better than we were before the pandemic with
Oh,
all of our
nice.
academics too, which is a huge win. That's due to the hard work and dedication and intentional
Mhm.
practices of our staff and our leaders here in the district.
And that's exactly it. It is I always tell people when we have this conversation, it's like kids didn't stop learning. They just didn't learn what we needed them to learn to be able to learn the math and the English and all of that. They're still learning, but it
Mhm.
was what did they learn?
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
they just didn't learn the things that they would have been learning if they had been in school. So I love that you have that big bounce back. That's
Yeah,
great.
it
That's
is
really
great.
great.
Yeah, I'm very proud of that, and like I said, it's because of the efforts, and
Mhm.
intentionality, and it was not easy during that time, at the beginning when it first started, it was not, but since then, we've worked really hard to hopefully close those gaps as much as we can.
Yeah. There's still issues with social emotional stuff though, I know that's something that you've mentioned in our pre-interview about stuff that you're dealing. So touch on that for us if you
Yeah,
would.
sure. I think when you talk to school districts and you talk to even my colleagues across where I tell other superintendents, and actually my wife is also in education. She's an instructional coach, and it really is the social emotional of our students now is the biggest barrier right now to their learning. As you know, it's kind of like the hierarchy of needs. Or if
Mhm.
you're familiar with any type of a teacher evaluation, we use Charlotte Danielson's evaluation piece, and they always say, "What's the most important?" I always say it's the learning environment that's the most important. So, when students feel safe and secure to take risks, with their learning
Yeah.
without fear of ridicule or failure, then they can. However, they also have to feel safe and secure about themselves and be able to, express and be regulated and everything too. And right now, unfortunately, a lot of our students, our younger ones especially, are really lacking in a lot of those skills for whatever reason it is. And so until they're ready at that way, they really can't learn too much. And we're struggling sometimes to really meet their needs in the best way because it's hard when you have a classroom of, 20 something other students. You want to help a student, but when that student is unable to regulate or is, disrupting everything, you're trying your best to do that, but then you have the other students too, you have to be considerate about and they're learning. And it's sometimes a tough balance. There really is. So, and the teachers, I mean, teachers not the same. Everything's thrown on their plate, everything. And to do that too, and they're not trained, social workers, they're not trained, psychologists. So they have some tools, but how do they know to respond?
Mhm.
So trying to help them as well and navigate some of those things can be challenging, and it's challenging for everybody. It really
Yeah.
is. So we have to try and get better plans in place.
So what kinds of things are you doing right now? What kinds of things have you worked on so
Yeah,
far?
so we've been working. There's quite a bit been working on. So, um, a major, over the past few years, some of the initiatives we're working on is having some responsive classroom training for our teachers. And I was just because we did that in my previous district, and not that everything, but really it's just a matter of the approach of looking at classroom management as like the plate of everything. So your SEL is the actual foundation of how you're planning and your approach to class to teaching and learning in general. If
Mhm.
you approach it from that lens of clear expectations, communication with the students, making sure that they understand clearly and know what's expected of them and how to achieve that. If you start from there and you build that, then you're able to have the students learn. After the pandemic, we knew that this was going to be a big a big need for our students. So after we came back to school and after the pandemic, we have now taken the first about 2 weeks, about 11, 12 days. So we start school about mid August.
Mhm.
And then we go then up till Labor Day. We just focus on, SEL. We just focus all on and, culture, routines, learning environments. The school does that. The teachers do that in their classrooms just to set the ground, just to set everything
Right.
there,
Yeah.
get all those expectations known. Everybody's clear. So everybody's working in the same way, and doing that. And so that way then, and I tell everybody, listen, yeah. Yes, you're gonna teach, but this is your focus. If you don't
Right.
get to math lesson
Yeah.
2, whoopity-doo,
Right.
take this time and do it. And so then all the
Yeah.
schools have times they focus on that together. Grade level teams focus on that together, and the classroom teachers do as well. And it's really shown to be positive because then after that point, students know a little bit more. They
Right.
know better and know what to expect and can go through that too. They model expectations, they model all that, and that's really helped. Now they need reminders, of course, because
Well,
they're
of course, they're
kids.
kids. They're
Yeah,
kids,
they're
right?
kids. They also looks like, "Well, I taught you, don't you know it? Why don't you know it yet?"
Yeah.
Have you looked at yourself too? I mean, I do the same thing, but you don't do that. So, but you have to teach them because they're kids, but
Yep.
it really helps. Um,
You're laying the groundwork. Yeah. Giving them a foundation on which to build from. You can't build the second floor and the third floor without building the first floor.
exactly.
Sometimes it takes the basement. Sometimes you got to start in the basement
Yeah,
sublevels, right?
yeah, uh-huh, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But that was shown to be very positive, so we've just kept with it.
Yeah.
We keep with
Good.
just keep
Well,
going.
and obviously, if your scores are back up, I mean, you guys are doing something right, right? I mean, you're getting there. I
Yeah,
love
we're
that for
getting
you
there.
guys, and I love that for your kids because you want the kids to be successful, and there's so many different approaches. I've talked to, I think your number like 202 or something of podcasts I've done, and
Yeah,
and this is a theme. This is a definite theme that goes through so many, and it doesn't matter, big school, little school, rural school, you know, big urban school, doesn't matter. There is always that piece of it. And I'm really prayerful that as society grows and technology and all of that, because I think there's a definite tie to screens and technology and how
I
much
I
time
would
we're
agree with
allowing.
I would agree 100%, but I think it's, but it's not just the children's screen time, it's the adult screen
Oh,
time.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, when I say that, it's absolutely, it's like, yeah, I find myself it's hard to put it down sometimes, and my kids are grown. One thing we do and I've always done is no phones at the table. If we're having a dinner, you you
Yeah.
or out to
Yep.
eat out to eat. The other day we were at, we have a Friday morning dinner or breakfast with our team which is mostly Courtney's because we're a family business, but we go and no phones, no phones during, because it's team building. It's time to have
And that
conversation.
really, I think that
Yeah.
is really the when you if you were to ask me, like, what is the one, the the greatest the kind of skill that's lacking is conversation
Mm-hmm.
and the ability to, disagree with somebody while respecting their opinion and
Yeah.
still treating them as, the same and, okay, fine, I don't agree with you, but that's okay. We can agree to disagree. It doesn't mean, you know, you disrespect me or I disrespect you. We just agree to disagree and move on together.
Move on and work on
And I
something
can
else.
hear
Yeah.
you out. I hear out. Maybe I'll learn from something. I'm not here to convince you, but maybe you're going to teach me something I didn't know I consider next time.
Mm-hmm.
That, especially for our children, can be very tough. And, if the adults don't know how to do that, then they're not taught how to do that. And so teaching with that too. And then everybody's just so quick to judge and
Oh,
everything
yeah.
is just it's hard. It's hard because
Mm-hmm.
it's instant right now. And so navigating
Yeah.
that is tough. It is.
One thing I often hear from school leaders is, I just want a partner who puts students first. At Lighthouse Therapy, that's exactly what we do. We don't have outside investors and we don't answer to shareholders. Instead, we answer to school leaders like you, those listening to this podcast. Whether you're wanting virtual, hybrid, or in-person therapy, our systems are designed to make your life easier and your team stronger. We are a therapy company run by therapists for the betterment of students. Visit lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together to learn how we can help you support your students this year. It's a societal problem. It's definitely not. And kids don't want to be bad. Kids react and learn and behave the way that they are taught. And when the teaching at home is not there or lacking, or I mean, it's just systemic. It's just you see right now all the stuff that's going on in Minnesota, and people are seeing that. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. It doesn't matter. To me, it's like,
So
I've got my opinions, and I loved what you said about let's agree to disagree and move on instead of being so volatile. It gets so tiresome. It gets so tired. And I know people have such high passions about what they do, and I get that. But so do people on the other side. So, it's like, let's not kill each other, for goodness sake, right?
correct,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
And it's hard because again, in school too, but I think one of the tough parts, and this is just me because I'm old now.
Me
Like
too.
back in my day, uphill both ways,
I hear you.
is that, but we also don't allow kids to be kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, when I think back to when I was a kid, I'm surprised I'm still alive and, doing things. But honestly, like you learn through your failures.
Yeah.
You learn to do
Yeah.
stuff, and that's what I think, we're talking about. I'm actually just talking about my staff this other day. So one of the elements of responsive classroom that I do like is that it talks about the whole aspect of natural consequences for your
Mm-hmm.
behaviors. And so that we don't that sometimes though can be controversial for some adults to understand. But I'm like, but wait a minute. So if we allow kids to be kids because they're gonna say mean things, they're gonna do these things, but
Mm-hmm.
the consequences then is that people are gonna avoid them or maybe
Yeah.
get in trouble. So we provide opportunities for that to happen, but also then too work with them to learn about, well, what is it that you did?
Right.
How did this impact the other? And what do we do next time?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going back and forth and you're so quick to judge and so quick to, blame others or do things, you don't
Yeah.
allow that to happen. So
Yeah.
that's what we're really trying to work through with that piece because I think a lot of people feel that punishment or consequence always means punishment. No, there's good and bad consequences.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just a matter of
Sure.
that's part of learning and growing in life.
Taking responsibility for your own actions. Oh my goodness, what a concept, right? I mean, it's just like, hello, it's like, I remember when you were talking about, surviving your childhood, we had, do you know the little white landscape rocks? They're
Oh, yeah.
crystalline, really sharp rocks. We used to have rock fights because they were in the backyard, in the back. We had an alley, and they would lay those down. And I'm
Yep.
limestone. I don't know what they were made of, but dang, they were sharp. I got one. I have scars still right between the eyes. And, head wounds bleed. And I was a little kid and my brother threw it, got me right between the eyes and cut. I mean, the cut's like maybe a quarter of an inch or maybe an eighth of an inch, but boy, it bled. And I screaming and crying and running to the house. And my mother was an RN, so there wasn't too much that would phase her. But my mom didn't even hear me. The neighbor next door heard me screaming because I couldn't get the door open because I was trying to hold him. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, I had BB gun fights.
Yeah, there you go. See, and you get hit one time. I'm telling you, I never did that rock fight again. That was the last one for me, and you have the scars from those, but there are consequences for the choices. And my brother had a better aim than I did. He was set 5 years older than me.
No, that's true, but,
You know, but so many times now, parents today, you talk about helicopter parents, and it's like, we don't want them to have to experience that. But sometimes, parents listen to this. They need to. They need to. I don't want your child to be harmed. I get that you have to try to create a safe environment, but a completely perfectly safe environment is not going to teach a child that if you run your bike along an edge that there's gravity, and if you do it wrong you're going to fall. You got to let them fall sometimes. You got to let them. You
you
just
always yeah,
do.
the more you fail, that's when you learn, that's how you
Yeah.
succeed. I have that Michael Jordan. I've had it in my classroom, and I have it up in my office too, where he talks about his failure. He
Mhm.
failed time and time again, and that's why he succeeds. I think going to the parents piece too, and that's hard. And whenever I talk with parents, I always try and also have the perspective because, you know, parents are coming with the best that they have. And all the parents are trying to do the best for their children.
Absolutely.
Never apologize for being an advocate for your child, but
Mhm.
just let's talk about this. And we have to come to an agreement though and have an understanding because, obviously some things maybe are not working. So how do we work
Mhm.
that through?
Yeah, if you're talking to me there's a problem, right?
Correct. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to, so that I always try to have that lens because, parents they're doing the best that they can. They really
Mhm.
are. And
I
if
agree.
that's the best they're coming with, okay, well, let's try and meet them and work with them too, because the goal is to help their child be successful,
Mhm.
have them feel that they're a partner with us, not, it's not this, not going against each other. And that can be a difficult road to navigate sometimes because, they're not able to maybe do that. So we have to work with the parents and sometimes the staff and the students to make sure we get that through because it's hard. It's a lot. It really is. And school is a microcosm of society and
It is. Yeah.
society is, and it's not easy to navigate. It really isn't sometimes. Mhm.
But you're doing it. You're doing it, and your kids are being successful, and that's what matters is. Yeah, and that's the thing that I love about educators is that it doesn't matter what you throw in front of us, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna do the best that we can with the amount of money you give, which is never enough, with the number of kids that you give, which is overwhelming and not enough staff, and yet every single person that I talk to says, "We're figuring it out. We're doing what we can." But we need also part of the reason that this show exists is they need to know. You guys don't have the money to run a podcast and to talk about the frustrations and the struggles that you're having. So that's why I do this. I mean, it's like it would be easy not to do this, but we do it because it's the right thing to do. And you do need to talk about the hard stuff, and you do need to talk about
You do
the fact
because
that, yeah,
that's part of it's just part of the gig. It's
yeah.
part of what we're dealing with now, and
Mhm.
that's very proud because that's like I say, I'm very blessed because the staff that I have on my leadership team, everybody from our, custodians, bus drivers, secretaries, food service, teachers, aides, administration, like they do such an amazing job of every day they come here and they want to do what's best for the students.
Mhm.
And, they have been really we've done a lot of changes the past few years. We started off, we implemented a new math program right away in 2020, so then this is our 3rd year of a new ELA curriculum. We shifted to a block schedule for our elementary buildings, which has really been beneficial
Oh,
now,
nice.
so
Mhm.
it's similar to the schools, and that's really helped us get our, ELA and math time sacred, so every student receives the core and they're not being pulled out as much. So we have dedicated times for that too. we implemented what we call late starts. Our community has been awesome too because this is now the second year of our late start Wednesdays. So every Wednesday, each of the schools is delayed by about 35, 40 minutes start. So it gives
Mhm.
the teacher teams an hour of professional learning time. Our teachers now are taking that time to plan out lessons, to talk about students, talk about groups, talk about interventions, and use that to really be intentional to meet the students' needs. And the community's been super supportive of that. It was a little tricky at first, but it's really been beneficial. And now the staff are doing a great job with, making sure that's being used wisely and the way it's supposed.
Yeah.
So like I said, they all make me look good. You
Yeah,
know, they
absolutely,
Oh, they do
absolutely.
it. And then the students are great too, because from what they they wanna work hard and they show up every day and they amaze me every day of what they're able to.
Yeah. Kids don't intentionally decide to be bad for the most part. They don't. And I love that. I love that for you guys because it is just a testament to even though we have the issues that we have in our society, even though we have these social emotional issues with kids and parents and whatever, we're still doing it. You're still getting up every single day. You're still going in, you're still doing the work because this is our future. These kids are our future.
It is, yeah, and you know what, and, I think if we're all just willing to listen to each other, and then
Mhm.
try and work together to figure it out, then, we can do anything together, and that's really what it's been, like, from my amazing board members to the staff to the students. I mean, everybody is really
Going in
trying
the
to
same
work
direction,
together.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
say it's like, everybody gets tired of my image of that all the arrows are aligned,
Yeah.
for a strategic plan, so we don't have all these random tangents, but we're
Mhm.
all working towards that, and it's, to, inspire and empower our students, to be the best they can, and I really feel everybody does that, and like I said, they make me look good, and I'm proud of the work that we're doing.
Awesome. So where do people go, Robert, if they wanna learn a little bit more about Darien School District number 61?
Absolutely. So you can go to our website, which is www.darien61.org.
And
Mm,
Darien is Darien. Yeah,
DARIEN, yes. So
yeah. Great.
www.darien61.org. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I
I
it
hope that
has
was
been
enough.
No, it's
No,
beautiful.
so
You are amazing. I love the conversation and just thank you
too.
for your passion, and what you're doing. And as the podcast is called, we are brighter together because of what you guys are doing. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate you too. So thank you so much for this opportunity and wish you the best.
Thanks.